Apple, the phone manufacturer, that their phones were being the subject of a potential state-sponsored hack. Now, naturally, the India Alliance leaders have accused the Modi government of snooping on them, but the government, from the IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav downwards, they've rubbished those claims and in fact have written to Apple to join this probe. Apple has also put out a statement separately saying they cannot authenticate these attacks, particularly the state-sponsored attacks, and the many times that these attacks or these threat notifications can also tend to be false alarms. So, is this Snoopgate 2.0? Is this Pegasus 2.0? Because that matter went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the court could not come to a definitive conclusion that yes, indeed, the government did spy on opposition leaders. So will this case too go the Pegasus way? But first, the story.
How much we attack Mr. Narendra Modi doesn't have an effect, because the soul is somewhere else. And now we've understood this. We've understood that the soul is there in the parrot, and now we are attacking the soul.
सब जानते हैं कि ऑपोजिशन में कौन वोकल वॉइसेस हैं, तो मैं बस यही कहूंगी कि इस पे जांच होनी चाहिए और केंद्र सरकार को इस पे स्पष्टीकरण देना चाहिए।
ये बड़ी गंभीर बात है। ये देश की प्रजातंत्र की नींव पे चोट करने वाली बात है।
डेमोक्रेसी में, लोकतंत्र में आज़ादी और आपकी प्राइवेसी को भी उसको खत्म करना चाहते हैं। आखिरकार जासूसी किस लिए?
अब ये नौबत क्यों आई मोदी सरकार को हमारे ऊपर भी जासूसी करें? ये हम चाहते हैं कि सरकार स्पष्टीकरण दे, ये क्या कर रही है वो।
सरकार इस मुद्दे पर बहुत कंसर्न्ड है और इन्वेस्टिगेशन करके तह तक जाएगी।
क्या मैसेज है, नहीं है, ये उनका कहना है ना, इसको एप्पल क्लैरिफाई करेगा। नहीं संतोषजनक हो FIR करें, लेकिन ये सब कहने के पहले सरकार पर आरोप ये बिल्कुल बेबुनियाद है, फॉल्स है।
So Apple has put out a statement, and that tends to sort of clarify where these threat notifications are coming from and what the purpose of it is. Apple's statement, and I'm quoting some of the excerpts from it, it says, "We do not attribute threat notifications to specific state-sponsored attackers." Now, it also says that state-sponsored attackers are very well-funded and they're very sophisticated. Attacks by these state-sponsored assets evolve over a period of time. Detecting such attacks relies on the threat intelligence signal. So it's not just about whether somebody's trying to hack into your phone, but also on other native intelligence. Threat intelligence signals are often imperfect and not necessarily complete. It is also possible, and this is again part of the Apple statement, it is also possible that some Apple threat notifications may be false alarms. It is possible that some of these attacks are not detected by the system, and some of these that are detected could be false alarms as well. Unable to provide the details of what causes us to issue these threat notifications, we're also unable to give out the details that may help these state-sponsored attackers adapt different tactics. So that is the statement that Apple has just put out, and it has clarified that they're not in a position to identify the state-sponsored attackers, which is what the threat notification said. Now, while criticizing the opposition and calling their charges baseless and even calling Apple's statement unclear, Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has said that the government takes these charges seriously. He's tweeted, and this is part of our Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brands, tweet of the day.
Hello, Moto.
This is what the Railways Minister and the IT Minister has put out on Twitter. The government of Bharat takes its role protecting the privacy and security of all citizens very seriously and will investigate to get to the bottom of these notifications. He's also gone on to say that in light of such information and widespread speculation, we've also asked Apple to join the investigation with real, accurate information on these alleged state-sponsored attacks. Now, the reason why this has again come to light and the reason why there is interest in this story is not just because of the opposition MPs and leaders and their allegations, but this seems like a repeat of what happened with the whole Pegasus story. Remember, Pegasus, the Israeli spyware which the opposition had alleged Rahul Gandhi downwards that had been installed in their phones, and the government was using Pegasus to snoop on opposition leaders. That matter went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court examined it and said that there is no conclusive evidence of spyware in the phones that were scanned by the Supreme Court appointed technical panel. There were about close to 20-25 phones that were scanned. Now, some malware was found in 5 phones, but there is no proof of Pegasus in those 5 phones. The technical panel that was appointed by the Supreme Court had also recommended new laws to tackle illegal surveillance. The committee had highlighted that the centre did not cooperate in the probe. This was recorded by the technical committee and recorded in the judgment as well. So, the point is, Pegasus went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the court came to the conclusion that there isn't enough evidence to show that yes, these opposition politicians were indeed snooped upon. Will Apple and this threat notification allegation that's been put out by many opposition leaders, will that turn out to be Pegasus 2.0? Let's get to our debate. Is the opposition rebooting Snoopgate politics?
Hello, Moto.
All right, full panel joining us this evening on the debate. Priyanka Chaturvedi is Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament of the Shiv Sena UB Thackeray faction. Salman Soz, National Spokesperson of the Congress Party. Shazia Ilmi, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Jitin Jain is a cybersecurity expert. And Nikhil Pahwa is founder of Media Nama. Priyanka Chaturvedi, let me start with you first. The Apple statement which has been put out after some leaders like yourself came out and said that you got these threat notifications. It goes on to say that we do not attribute threat notifications to specific state-sponsored attackers. State-sponsored attackers are very well funded and sophisticated. The attacks by state-sponsored assets evolve over a period of time. It's also possible that some Apple threat notifications may turn out to be false alarms. So in a sense, Apple is saying there is nothing definitive just because you got a threat notification from them.
Firstly, let me clarify that the Apple statement is same as the statement which was made in August 2022 on their website, and what we have now, the version that we have now, is a cut paste of that particular statement issued to some journalists. We don't even know who's issued it. We don't know the spokesperson issuing it, but this is a statement which is floating around. Again, nothing which has officially come from the from Apple per se. But these are all the things that the statement that is floating around, but what Apple has sent to us, and please allow me to read it. Apple believes you are being targeted by state-sponsored attackers who are trying to remotely compromise the iPhone associated with your Apple ID. These attackers are likely targeting you individually because of who you are or what you do. If your device is compromised by a state-sponsored attacker, they may be able to remotely access your sensitive data, communications, or even the camera and microphone. So am I supposed to just wait for an Apple statement to tell me that whether I should be worried or no? Should I wait in anticipation for my government to act? Should I wait for the government to justify why they're doing what they're doing? As an individual, as a citizen of this country, before being the member of parliament from the opposition, my question would be, my fundamental rights are being trampled upon. My right to privacy is being denied to me. And I shouldn't even speak about it just because Apple later, some hours later, some statement cut paste from that August statement is being put across as a justification. What is Apple saying in their statement as well? They are saying these are highly technologically advanced, deeply funded, hacks that are happening. And by revealing more information, we will be alerting them of future attacks, and we will be telling them and we'll be alerting them to course correct.
So ma'am,
so they're also safeguarding the interest of the user.
The threats that you've received or the threat notification from Apple, I'm just quoting from a response that the Apple spokesperson has sent to our colleague Aseem Manchanda, who covers technology for our sister channel CNBC. Parts of it may be a repeat of an old statement, but this is what an Apple spokesperson has sent to our reporter. But be that as it may, my question is, Priyanka Chaturvedi, if one second, let's not have role reversal here. My job is to ask questions, and possibly yours is to give me answers to those questions.
Please give me 30 seconds.
I will, but let me ask the question though, please. Can I ask the question? Not to take away from the seriousness of what has happened to you or other MPs who have received and other opposition leaders who have received this. I want to understand two things. Why are you not then filing a police complaint, or why are you not taking Apple or these so-called state-sponsored attackers to court? After all, like you said, it is a matter of security. It's a matter of security of very senior parliamentarians like yourself, very serious opposition politicians. And if your security and your privacy has been compromised, you should take it up with the law and order authorities. You should file a police complaint, or you should take it up legally.
I am so amazed with that question. I should not look up at my government, and my media should not be questioning the government of the day. When we have a serious statement saying, do not take this threat lightly, this is a state-sponsored attack. So we have a question being asked of us, hey, why aren't you going to the court? Hey, why aren't you going to the police station? I would want to ask, as a member of parliament, if I'm under attack through a state-sponsored agency, should I not expect my government, my IT minister, my home minister to check why senior members of parliament, forget me in this discussion, there are various other senior members of parliament who've been former ministers who've got this message. I'm amazed that you all are taking a statement by a spokesperson on face value of Apple that you're commenting on. Why hasn't this gone on officially on Apple website, India website? I'm amazed I'm being asked these questions while I am the one who has received this threat warning.
Okay.
Instead of asking the tough questions of the government, hello, what are you doing? You all have gone through an entire Pegasus trial. And in the Pegasus trial, let me tell you, the government hasn't got any clean sheet. We still don't know what the investigative report has said.
Okay, so Shazi Almi, please respond to what Priyanka Chaturvedi is saying.
That our media acts like the fourth pillar of democracy,
Parliament
and sees
have
democracy
had
being
their
played every single day
security and their privacy compromised. It is the onus of the government to ensure that every single Indian citizen, be they in politics or not in politics, opposition, government, that every citizen's security, safety and privacy is not compromised. The onus is on the government, is on the law enforcement agencies. What are you doing about it, Shazi Almi? That's the question from Priyanka Chaturvedi.
Which is exactly what our IT minister has done. Which is exactly what has been ordered. A full probe has been ordered, promising that it would go to the next level of investigation, to the final level of investigation. But as I counter some of the charges made by Priyanka ji, my honorable friend from the opposition, I would like to really say that I detect so much of presumption, a load of presumption in all that outrage, which is our rights are being trampled upon, people are hacking into the phones and listening in, and also references to Pegasus. First of all, a lot of opposition leaders have called it out, and Rahul Gandhi did a presser, and many people have spoken about it. Our minister has said we will go to the bottom of it, and that it is a duty of a responsible government and our government to ensure that nobody's privacy is undermined with or played with. That's one. Two, in this matter, there is the name of Samir Saran. There is also Piyush Goyal ji, who is our minister, who is a minister in the government, who's also has called out this kind of a notification has come to him as well, and a few journalists, one of them from Deccan Chronicle. So clearly, while the opposition has made common cause, jumping to the gun and declaring Modi government, the Snoop government, indulging in mass surveillance, they haven't even given 24 hours for the probe to begin. One, after the statement of Ashwini Vaishnav ji, where he says very clearly that we will get to the bottom of this. Two, there were references to Pegasus. And yes, let me say, out of the 29 phones that were submitted, Rahul Gandhi, of course, but the one who made the biggest hullabaloo about it did not, of course, submit his. But out of 29 phones, 5 were found with malware, which could be because of bad cyber hygiene and not at all anything to do with Pegasus, so to speak. So it was conclusive in that sense, because all the evidence that pointed out did not lead to it being decided that it was indeed Pegasus which was there.
No,
So
while
let's
that
not
may be
conflate the two
true,
issues.
one
Even
second,
if
let me
Pegasus
also
was
add,
concerned,
that same judgment, ma'am, that same judgment
I'll-
also
5
said
seconds.
that the
5
centre did not
seconds.
cooperate
5
with the
seconds.
technical committee that was appointed by the Supreme Court. Anyway, go on.
Correct. It did not comply with the technical details of the scrutiny of the technical committee. Agreed. But it also said only 5
Phones had malware, yeah.
Phones were found with malware. And another point that I wanted to make on Pegasus was 174 individuals, many of which were in the BJP. So for everybody to get together and make it about this case about BJP being this Stasi kind of a government out there to snoop. Surely a government, if you say, and you attribute so much to the BJP, surely they would know better than to hack, knowing very well how the codes of Apple work,
Okay.
and how well protected and encrypted
So-
Apple is.
So let me ask Salman Soz,
I
the
think it's
reason
such a
why many
ludicrous
people are
charge.
skeptical about this is because of the experience of what happened in Pegasus. There was far more outrage and hue and cry around Pegasus. The matter went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the headline from that judgment was this, that the court has not found any evidence of the government using Pegasus spyware in the 29 phones that were submitted to the technical committee for evaluation. Yes, there was malware in some of the phones, but nowhere in that judgment did the Supreme Court come to the conclusion that spyware was used by the government, right? So that's why people are today skeptical, saying, you have about 12 opposition leaders, all of them iPhone users. What about this huge array of people who don't use iPhones, who use Android phones? Nobody's talking about them. And because the Pegasus matter, on which there was so much more hue and cry, turned out to be a bit of a damn squib, if you will. That's why people are skeptical. Will this also, Apple Snoopgate, become Pegasus 2.0? Will it go the same way? Salman Soz.
Well, headlines are up to people who write the headlines. You can write that headline. If I had to write a headline for what the Supreme Court had to say, I would just say that the Supreme Court's Chief Justice says that the government of India refused to cooperate with the panel that was entrusted with the task of figuring out if Pegasus had infected these phones. 5 phones had malware, and now that particular committee could not verify whether that was Pegasus or not. But why do we forget that intelligence agencies of the European Commission, a UK court, Belgium, all of them said yes. France, yes, Pegasus was confirmed in their phones, just because our expert committee, which basically probably reports to the government anyway, could not find anything because they couldn't find anything. And meanwhile, the government of India, Modi ji Sarkar, was not cooperating. So the headline
No, but
for you,
neither was
Sarkar, may
Mr.
be
Rahul
that
Gandhi.
nothing-
Was
wait,
he
let me
cooperating when he
finish.
said he
No,
won't
no,
give
no.
his phone to the committee?
It was
And it was a Supreme Court appointed committee.
No, what is the context?
Zaka,
Giving details.
I'm just talking about the headline that
giving
you
details
gave
is
this.
No,
and I'm
I
giving
get
you
that.
different
Since you
how the
said
headline- why are you
cooperation,
upset about
Mr.
it?
Gandhi didn't
This is
cooperate. He didn't
gathering
submit his
or
phone.
national security.
One second,
let me address that, and please, nobody else should interrupt me because I'm not interrupting.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
If Rahul Gandhi does not give his phone, that does not mean that Modi ji is going to be silent and say, I'm not going to cooperate with the Supreme Court's inquiry. That is not what the Prime Minister's job is. His job is to help a committee that has been established by the Supreme Court. He's not about the law. That's one. Now,
So what do you expect him to do? Forcibly go to Rahul Gandhi and forcibly take away his phone from him?
no. I'm not saying that.
How do you expect whether malware is there in a particular person's phone who's made this allegation? How are you going to find that out if the person refuses to give his phone for examination?
Zaka, this is not fair. You have to let me speak.
Okay, go on.
This is not about Rahul Gandhi. I'm talking about the Chief Justice of India. His simple point was that the government of India, not Rahul Gandhi, government of India did not cooperate with the committee. Now, that's one. And I've already explained to you and to the viewers that multiple foreign governments and agencies confirmed that Pegasus was found on phones when Citizen Lab, pointed out that there was malware Pegasus on phones. That's one. Now, so let's keep that Supreme Court inquiry to the side because the government didn't cooperate. Now, anytime Mr. Adani's in the news, the BJP, Mr. Modi, Mr. Amit Shah, everybody gets into overdrive to figure out something else that they want to do, right? The point is, how long will Mr. Modi be subservient to Mr. Adani? That is a question that Mr. Modi must answer, because this is not the first time this has happened. 2019, 2021, now. And by the way, can the Prime Minister tell us if his government is going to invest in spyware, as the Financial Times has reported, up to $120 million in the coming years? Will the Prime Minister tell us? Has India, very simple question, Zaka, because the media will not ask those questions. Let me ask those questions on your behalf.
Arey, I'm giving you my platform for you to ask that very same question. Go ahead. I've not interrupted. I've not said anything. Go ahead and ask what you want to ask.
Zaka, your TV program is watched by many people. I hope the Prime Minister and his colleagues or his government watches. Has the government of India invested in spyware? 2, has the government of India used spyware? 3, under what law has the Indian government, if they have used spyware like Pegasus, under what law has it been used? 4, what process and safeguards have been deployed so that personal privacy is safeguarded for individuals, including like
Salman, if I may, let me come to the wall. One second. Salman. Now you've asked those questions uninterrupted. Nobody interrupted on the panel. I didn't interrupt you. You've asked those questions. All of these questions were asked when the Pegasus matter went up to the Supreme Court. The answers to these questions were also given by the government in an affidavit as far as the Pegasus matter was concerned. Now, I want to go across to Jitin Jain and then after that to Nikhil Pahwa. But Jitin Jain, I think what our viewers are most curious to know is what is the state-sponsored attack? Because that is the phrase that seems to have caught the fancy of many. What do you mean by a state-sponsored attack? Could that state be, the Apple statement, the Apple threat notification or its statement subsequently clarifying does not mention which is that state. What is the difference between a state-sponsored attack and a non-state or a private hack, as it were? What is the difference in both of those? 2, and I think a very critical one, a lot of people, again, opinion seems to be very divided on this. Some people are saying for this to have happened, for Apple to have sent this threat notification, it is basis your usage and you must have clicked on some link or WhatsApp message or whatever, which is suspicious. And there are a whole bunch of others who are saying, no, it could just be that your phone is infected with malware and that's why Apple sent you this threat notification. Break this down for our viewers as to what exactly is going on here.
So, to speak in very simple terms to make general public understand, suppose if there is a private criminal group which is sending you a ransomware or sending you a hacking link or a phishing link, they're normally private actors who are looking for some money or some other they have some other objectives. But if there is a sophisticated group which is launching a very highly sophisticated campaign which requires a lot of high military grade infrastructure, a lot of funding, or a lot of other stuff like SIM card servers which could only be patronized or organized by a state, or if a group which is carrying out such a highly sophisticated attack has at some point of time carried out some activity on behalf of state or has been patronized by a state in any geography or any country across the world, then there is a usual practice to classify such group as state-sponsored actors. In general terms, like you call LET and Jaish-e-Mohammed the state-sponsored actors from Pakistan, they are private groups, but they are organizing under the patronage of Pakistani state. So this is a normal classification, a usual classification companies like Google, Apple or Microsoft and across the world we as threat intelligence researchers do. Now 2, see, a lot of this intelligence is not foolproof or is not an absolute binary 0 and 1. You cannot conclusively say, oh, person A has targeted person B, then person A is the attacker and B is the victim. No. There are a lot of threat intelligence feeds. There are a lot of artifacts which you analyze over a period of time. For example, IP addresses, mobile numbers of a particular person, their contacts with each other, their activities in the recent past, which all, if they have been ever named in any other attack in the past. And based on those lot of threat intelligence signals, you with a certain degree or a high degree of confidence say that this particular group is a state-sponsored group. Now, this is kind of an alert which has been sent by Apple to these several opposition leaders and couple of leaders who are working in geopolitics, think tanks, and journalists. Now, in my fair understanding as a technical expert, these alerts are in 90% cases genuine. There is always an error rate of 10% or 5%, which happens in any technical investigation. So they have to be taken at very, very, on a serious note and investigated, and victims have to protect themselves. Now, two, what you should do, whether you clicked on how did you get infected? Whether you clicked on a link, somebody's made you a call.
Yeah.
I think there are many malwares which require some interaction. For example, you have to click on some link. Somebody might trick you to install a shady app. Some people might click on a SMS or open a suspicious attachment and get infected. But there have been many malwares in recent times, in last 4 or 5 years, like Pegasus and many others, which does not require any user interaction. You could get a FaceTime call, you could get a WhatsApp call, or you could just get remotely infected without even picking it up. So user interaction is not a necessary condition. It happens in normal attacks, but in sophisticated attacks in 0 days, it is not a necessary condition. Now, third, what you as a victim should do, like Priyanka Chaturvedi or other people who have been pointed out. Look, it's very, very difficult for ordinary Apple users to secure himself, because Apple does not give any anti-malware or anti-antivirus engine access to system files. Now, I think in this particular case, Apple has completely shied away from their responsibility. This multi-billion dollar company, which charges astronomical prices of iPhones and cloud storage, should have at least given some indicators of compromise to victims. For example, these are the IP addresses which targeted you. This is the type of malware. I mean, if you look at Pegasus research also, which was done by Amnesty International Citizen Lab, they listed out all the indicators of compromise so that anybody could go to any professional researcher, helper, or a think tank, or a private cybersecurity organization and get their phone secured and block those IP addresses blocked. So Apple, either they should have blocked it themselves on their entire iOS platform, that for all iOS users, we are blocking the suspicious IP addresses and suspicious apps. Or they should have at least let individual victims know that you may have been target of this particular type of malware. Go and seek professional help. Now, in the absence of both, I think there appears to be orchestration of a political slugfest where you absolutely don't know who's the attacker and if you have been a victim or you have been an attempted victim. And there has been a complete erosion of trust.
One thing that still doesn't...
One thing that
still doesn't fully explain, and Nikhil has been waiting very patiently, so let me
just
go across.
Just 15 seconds. So we don't know. We don't know whether phones were infected or not, but definitely our democracy is infected. And last point I want to make, let's take two examples who are not opposition leaders, Samir Saran, who runs Observer Research Foundation, and Mr. Piyush Goyal. Now, interestingly, last week, both of them, I very well know that they traveled to Saudi Arabia together. So, sometimes that is also a threat indicator, whether an iPhone or an Apple ID was accessed from a suspicious geography or a geography or a country where there has been a recent path of hacking attempts.
No. It still doesn't explain to me, and let me ask Nikhil Pahwa this as I walk towards the wall. At least in Pegasus's case, one thing, at least if we were to take the allegations on face value, it was not targeted at just a set of political party representatives. I mean, there were ministers who were allegedly, at least the allegation said, were snooped upon. There were people from the opposition. There were people from other walks of life who were allegedly snooped on. But in this case, it is largely members of the opposition. There is one gentleman who heads a think tank. There is one journalist, I believe. But largely, it is members of the opposition. And again, when Apple's threat notification says state-sponsored attack,
there is also a minister.
And one minister, state-sponsored attack, but it doesn't mention which is that state, then, why are we discounting the possibility that this could be the Chinese state, it could be the Pakistani state, it could be any state?
Right. So, Zaka, if you look at the Pegasus case in particular, there was no conclusive evidence there, because it's also difficult to find conclusive evidence of who has actually orchestrated that attack from a technical standpoint. There's always an amount of doubt that exists when you're trying to attribute in the digital space. And the Supreme Court has they have not passed a verdict. There is no conclusive verdict from the committee either. And what the committee failed to do is it failed to follow the money. Because there were telecom resources which were hired by a government, and the IP addresses actually pointed towards two Indian ISPs that had bought telecom resources to carry out those attacks, and that has not been investigated further. Apple, is also not well protected. Someone said that its encryption is foolproof, etc., etc. Apple actually was the first one where the Pegasus attacks were found, and those came in through a WhatsApp vulnerability at that time. We don't know which government has run this attack. We don't know whether it's the Indian government or it's any other government. I think it's important to remember that in that situation, and I'm not, a government can also spy on its own ministers and its own people. So we don't know. The point is, a government can't investigate itself. So therefore, we need an independent inquiry. And let's not forget, in the Pegasus case, the Indian government did not, under affidavit, say that they did not use Pegasus. And they also refused to cooperate. So the suspicion still remains on the Indian government. It could be a foreign government as well, but we need to follow the money. We need a proper independent investigation to be done. A technical analysis will never be 100% conclusive. Let's be very clear about that.
So what would be the best course of action? You said in the Pegasus matter, the technical committee was appointed, but they were not equipped. They were not equipped to find out, whether Pegasus was used or not. In this case, again, we don't know if there was spyware in these phones, as a result it was compromised, or whether they clicked on some link or WhatsApp forward or whatever it is, and that's how the spyware got installed on their phones.
There are multiple
how do you find this, and who is competent to find this?
No, so I don't think a technical investigation will really yield any result here, but we need to follow the money. So have there been contracts given to third parties? For example, there were allegations there that it was a part of an Israel-India agreement for the NSO group to provide Pegasus to India. So we need to follow where the contracts are. We need to follow, for example, where the telecom resources have been hired. There needs to be more of a financial analysis. Maybe trade agreements need to be looked at more deeply. Whether there are a large amount of money is being spent on buying certain software which could be couched in the accounts as something else. There has to be a forensic investigation from a financial perspective. I'm not sure, and Jitin might not agree with me on this. I'm not sure if technical analysis is going to yield anything. Okay.
So, Priyanka Chaturvedi, I come back to the point. The phone manufacturer who sent this threat notification is not willing to identify, where these attacks came from or what are the IP addresses that these attacks came from. All they have said is they're not in a position to make that identification. You have clearly said you don't trust the government to investigate and identify where these attacks came from. The Supreme Court in the previous matter, again, the contention of the opposition is they came up short in finding out whether Pegasus was installed or not. So ultimately, I come back to that question. Who then is going to get to the bottom of this? Who is then going to investigate this? The court, the government, the manufacturer, who?
I think the tech expert here, Nikhil Pava, has already answered that question. Rather than making it political, I think it has a lot to do with expertise. And let's not keep saying, oh, it is the job of Apple to find out. I'm sorry, Apple has alerted. Have you any Android phone users who have got this alert? So you have a company which has come forward with this, and it has very categorically stated that these are very high-end cyber attacks that are happening and seem like state-funded. Now again, they are not going to go out on a limb and say, oh, it is by the Indian government, or for that matter, whichever government you were mentioning, Pakistan and China. And I think it's all the more cause for worry for us if Pakistan and China have access to data of the Indian opposition. If I was India's enemy or I had problems with India, I would look at a government which is shaping the policies, not the opposition. So that also in itself, I think the tech expert has very categorically said it should be a free and fair independent investigation and find out where the financial trail is. He made a very important point with regards to NSO and Pegasus. He said there was a very clearly established trail. And till we don't establish that trail, we can keep, coming and arguing on television channels and not get to the bottom of the issue. The bottom of the issue is we are going digital. This is a data-driven country. Data across, I'm sorry I did not interrupt you, ma'am. I was listening to you very patiently. Data across geographies are going to be bound to come under scanner. We need to have a foolproof system which can get to the bottom of these issues, and that can only come from tech expertise, not from IT minister making some claims, saying that, oh, we are going in for a full investigation, and then saying there are some constant critics of the government which get up and start criticizing the government.
Okay.
These are very valid concerns which we had flagged, but somehow it was dismissed by this by the IT minister and mocked by the IT head of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So please don't give me that, dear.
Okay, Shazia Elmi. Yeah.
So a small point. So from whatever we've heard so far from Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi ji, is that the Supreme Court, report came up short. IT ministers anyway mocking it. Government agencies can't be trusted.
This was
so who and Apple can't be expected to. No, please be quiet. Apple shouldn't be doing it. And why should they? That is the opposition take it up. So I don't know who will take it up, and if anybody takes it up, will it be any good? Because even when the reports come out as they have earlier, this is this whole thing of conspiracy.
No
manufacturing facility is always an overdrive. So I don't know what the answer is then, because you are saying that Apple can't do much, opposition will not do anything, government will as always be sinister and continue to protect their own, and Supreme Court keeps coming short. So what is the answer? I mean, this is yet another one of those big, huge tales, this cock and bull, cloak and dagger conspiracy theories that will go on and on. Here I am saying there is a minister concerned, there are two other members who are not opposition at least, or opposed to the views of BJP. They are also there. In Pegasus, there were 174 people from different, from all across the spectrum. But there has to be this thing that the government of India is doing it, our rights are being trampled, look, let's go up in arms and we don't trust anything or anybody.
Okay.
But this government is indulging in mass surveillance.
Nikhil had a small intervention, 10 seconds, I need to
Yes, we have hysteria.
Yeah.
We have hysteria and we have outrage.
I have an answer to this question.
Nikhil,
I have an answer to this question.
Yeah.
The Pegasus inquiry in the Supreme Court, and that case has been in cold storage for a while now, ever since the Chief Justice changed. I would request all the members of Parliament and every person who has been affected by this to go to the Supreme Court so that their case can be tagged onto the Pegasus case and the Supreme Court can hear the case further, perhaps order a further investigation in this. Frankly, it is contingent on the Supreme Court to take it up, and we waited far too long for this conclusion. We need surveillance reform in this country, and the Supreme Court has an opportunity to actually bring accountability to surveillance. Because whether it's a Congress with the centralized monitoring system or it is the BJP with allegedly Pegasus and this, citizens need accountability against surveillance in this country.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much to all our guests. It has been a very informative discussion as well, because there are layers to this which need to be unraveled, whether it's from the manufacturer's end, the government's end, the Supreme Court or the opposition. Ultimately, we have to find a way to get to the bottom of this, what Apple says is a potential state-sponsored attack on the phones of some of the leading opposition figures. There are also some other figures who may not be connected entirely to politics, one minister, and of course others who have got this message. But what the import of it, what it entails, that is something that we need to get to the bottom of, both for the opposition and for the government's sake. But one leader whose phone was also allegedly hacked, or at least he was among the dozen who got that message. Pawan Khera is the head of the Congress's media department. Thank you very much, Mr. Khera, for speaking with us. Apple has put out a statement subsequent to all you guys coming out and saying that you received this threat notification last night from Apple. In that statement, Apple has clarified that they are not in a position to attribute these threat notifications to specific state-sponsored attackers. And sometimes these could also be false alarms. What do you have to say to that?
Apple's clarification is very interesting. I read out from that. We are unable to provide information about what causes us to issue threat notifications that may help state-sponsored attackers adapt their behavior to evade detection in future. So in a way, what Apple has done is very smart. Now it's for the government to respond to all our charges and also the statement. Which other state would be interested in the opposition leaders of India? China? Pakistan? It's for Mr. Modi's government to protect us from his own government and from the government of all these neighboring countries who may have some interest in us.
No, but do you believe, Mr. Khera, that this could, because Apple has not mentioned which state it has simply said state-sponsored attack. Do you believe there could be a foreign state-sponsored attack? Like you said, China, Pakistan, it could be any foreign country.
Oh, I have no reason to believe that. I have no reason to believe or disbelieve anything. My government has been found indulging into similar activities in the past too. In fact, in the Pegasus round, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav's phone was also found to be under the influence of Pegasus, apart from others in the government also. So I don't know what to believe, what not to believe. The fact is that at 11:47 p.m. last night, my mobile got this message from Apple. And a lot of my colleagues got a similar message, not just in the Congress party, but alliance partners. So what kind of an algorithm malfunction is this which only targets the opposition leaders?
No, but since you mentioned, Mr. Khera, Pegasus, that matter, as you're aware, went all the way up to the Supreme Court. The court looked into it and said it was not able to come to a conclusion that indeed this spyware was installed in the phones of opposition leaders. It examined about 25 odd such phones. So isn't that one of the reasons also, because some of the opposition leaders, including Rahul Gandhi, refused to give their phones for technical analysis? Will you do it now for this investigation?
Well, but the Supreme Court also said the government did not cooperate. In the same order, the Supreme Court also writes the government did not cooperate. So why are we missing out on that very critical piece of information? Look, Zaka, they can take away all our phones for all I care. We don't need these phones. For God's sake, the kind of money this government, the taxpayers' money this government is spending on snooping on its own citizens, use half that money for benefits to Agniveers. We'll be very happy to give away all our phones. We don't want the phones. And you're robbing from Agniveers to indulge into snooping, and snooping not on anti-nationals, snooping on journalists, snooping on opposition leaders, snooping on judges. Why?
One final word, Mr. Khera, since you said that you have no faith in the government's own investigation, how then do you, the opposition leaders, intend to proceed? The Supreme Court also, in a sense, came up short as far as you're concerned in the Pegasus matter. So how will you proceed in this very, very serious matter?
One of the journalists today, I think from your channel in the afternoon, asked me, do you want to change your phone? I said, no, I want to change my government. So I don't trust this government. Yes, this government must go. Yes, we'll do everything under our command to change the government. Why should I change my phone?
Okay, Pawan Khera, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see if the government, the investigating agencies, maybe even the courts are able to get to the bottom of this about this threat notification that Apple sent to some of the opposition leaders and others. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, the war is now escalating over Liquorgate after the Enforcement Directorate decided to summon Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. He will have to appear before them on Thursday. The Aam Aadmi Party is convinced that Mr. Kejriwal will be arrested on that day. The BJP says it is finally the law of the land is catching up with him. On the other side, we'll do a quick debate on this matter.
Hello, Moto.
Many of these posters of the BJP promising a gas cylinder at rupees 450, which is 50 rupees lesser than what Mr. Kamal Nath is promising. Another key difference though between these two posters is that on the posters of the Congress, which the BJP is promising, which the BJP is highlighting in fact, that there is only the picture of Mr. Kamal Nath. The BJP says the Congress has no other leader except Kamal Nath. It is facing a paucity of leaders. While if you see the BJP's poster, you will see all their major leaders' faces on the poster. There is Mr. Modi, there is Mr. JP Nadda, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Mr. Narendra Singh Tomar, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Mr. V.D. Sharma, Kailash Vijayvargiya. So in a way, BJP is saying it has a galaxy of leaders in Madhya Pradesh, also throwing open the chief ministerial question that who becomes the chief minister if the BJP wins. But on the Congress poster, there is only one face and there seems to be no confusion on who will be the chief minister if the Congress wins. Who will be able to woo the woman with this freebie war, freebie poster war, I would rather say, on the streets of Bhopal, we would know on December the 3rd. I am joined by Madhya Pradesh Congress spokesperson Mr. Anand Jat. आनंद जी पूरे भोपाल में घूमे तो दो तरह के पोस्टर का तरफ फ्रीबी वॉर लगता है, कांग्रेस का एक तरफ, कमलनाथ जी का एक तरफ, बीजेपी का। कांग्रेस कमलनाथ जी कह रहे हैं 1500 रुपए वुमन को देंगे, 500 रुपए में सिलेंडर देंगे। बीजेपी कह रही हम तो ऑलरेडी 1250 दे रहे हैं, 3000 कर देंगे, 450 में सिलेंडर देंगे। तो क्यों आपके पोस्टर का क्यों जनता की विश्वास करेगी, बीजेपी का क्यों नहीं करेगी?
देखिए, कांग्रेस पार्टी जो कहती है वो करके रहती है और वचन के पक्के कमलनाथ हैं एक तरफ और दूसरी तरफ घोषणावीर मामा है। तो झूठी घोषणाओं के कारण मामा ने मध्य प्रदेश को वाशिंगटन से अच्छी सड़कें अमेरिका तक में बदनाम कर रखा है। तो दोनों का कोई मैच नहीं है। दूसरी बात यह है कि जब हम देखते हैं तो 1500 रुपये हम हिमाचल प्रदेश में भी माताओं बहनों को दे रहे हैं, 500 रुपये का गैस का सिलेंडर हम राजस्थान में दे रहे हैं कांग्रेस पार्टी। तो ऐसा क्यों होगा कि मध्य प्रदेश में भाजपा 450 में गैस का सिलेंडर दे रही है और उत्तराखंड वालों ने क्या बिगाड़ दिया है जो उनको 900 रुपये का गैस का सिलेंडर दिया जा रहा है? बहुत बेसिक सा सवाल है मेरा कि महाराष्ट्र में क्यों 900 रुपये का गैस का सिलेंडर है? क्या वहाँ भाजपा की सरकार नहीं है? तो ये जैसे मोदी जी एक दिन आए थे और भोपाल में कह रहे थे कि भाजपा की सरकार है, जहाँ जहाँ है वहाँ पेट्रोल 100 रुपये से कम है। आप मध्य प्रदेश के किसी भी पेट्रोल पंप पर पूछ लीजिए, 109 रुपये पेट्रोल है। तो क्या मध्य प्रदेश की जो सरकार है वो भाजपा की सरकार नहीं है? ये अलग बात है कि जनता ने जनादेश नहीं दिया था, लूट की, झूठ की और सौदेबाजी की सरकार है। मध्य प्रदेश में 27 लाख किसानों की कर्ज माफी कमलनाथ जी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस की सरकार ने की है और 21 सितंबर 2020 को इस भाजपा की सरकार ने विधानसभा में वो बात स्वीकारी है। 15 साल तक भाजपा की सरकार रही, उसमें केवल 300 रुपये पेंशन मिलती थी, उसमें भी 150 रुपये केंद्र का अंश था। उस पेंशन को कमलनाथ जी जब मुख्यमंत्री बने तो 3 महीनों में ही हमने उसे 600 कर दिया और हम उसे बढ़ाकर 1000 करने वाले थे। अब कमलनाथ जी आएंगे तो कांग्रेस की सरकार आएगी तो हम उसे 1200 करने वाले हैं। तो यहाँ हमने दिखाया, ये एक और बड़ी बात है, 18 साल से मध्य प्रदेश में भाजपा की सरकार है तो शिवराज चौहान जी को 18 साल लाडली बहनों की याद नहीं आई? जब
Welcome back. Now the fight is between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP as the Enforcement Directorate has now summoned Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to appear before it for questioning in the Liquorgate scandal on the 2nd of November. That's this coming Thursday. According to the ED, Kejriwal will be asked to clarify some new leads which have surfaced after Sanjay Singh's questioning in this case. Kejriwal's name had cropped up in various charge sheets the ED has filed in this case over the alleged meeting that took place at his residence where the draft policy was discussed. Remember, the Chief Minister is not an accused in this case. He's not named in the charge sheet as an accused, but his name does come up in a few places. This is after his top lieutenant Manish Sisodia was denied bail after the Supreme Court after it observed that tentatively 338 crore money trail had been established. While the BJP says that agencies probing Liquorgate have been vindicated, the Aam Aadmi Party maintains that this is a conspiracy to finish off the party ahead of the general elections, and they're convinced that on the 2nd of November, when Mr. Kejriwal goes to the ED office for questioning, he will be arrested.
Bharatiya Janata Party has adopted a strategy that whoever they cannot defeat in elections, they will finish off the parties by sending all their leaders to jail.
सभी जो उनके विरोधी है, उनके नेताओं के ऊपर झूठे फायर, फिर सीबीआई, फिर ईडी करके आपके सरकार में भारतीय जनता पार्टी में क्या सब दूध के धुले हुए है?
ये तालिबानी सिस्टम जब चाहे जिस विपक्षी नेता को चाहे उसको गिरफ्तार कर सकता है, उसको सवाल कर सकता है, उसको जो जनादेश मिला है उसका अपमान कर सकता है।
सच्चाई ये है कि जब से सत्ता में आए हैं एक के बाद दूसरा इनका नेता भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त पाया।
कई दर्जन नेता जेल के अंदर है। मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग, प्रमाण के साथ भ्रष्टाचार की तथ्य, ये सब उजागर हो चुका है। इनको बेल तक भी नहीं मिल रहा है।
Straight face off on brass tacks. Shazia Elmi of the BJP and Abhinandita Mathur of the Aam Aadmi Party both are joining us. Abhinandita Mathur, in multiple places in the ED charge sheet, Mr. Kejriwal's name is mentioned, whether it was the FaceTime meeting set up between Sameer Mahindra and Mr. Kejriwal, whether it was the draft document being discussed in his house, the Chief Minister's official residence. Why should he be not called for questioning? You're on mute, Abhinandita. You have to unmute, please.
Yeah, good evening. Sorry. Anybody is free to make allegations and they can make baseless or imaginary allegations. That's not a problem. And of course, Mr. Kejriwal, like with all other leaders, will comply, will go, to the investigative agencies as he has in the past. That's not an issue. I think the problem that we have in all this is the sheer vendetta that the BJP is doing, and they're not able to hide it. The fact that, our leaders have been not only cooperating with the agencies, but have actually been unfairly treated in many cases is just a story that's been going on. And it is for everybody to see what is going on and why one small party has become such a threat for the BJP that
But ma'am, it's not just the BJP. Yesterday, Supreme Court said 338 crore money trail has been tentatively established. So is the Supreme Court also in vendetta against you?
And tentatively is the operative word. And PMLA is a complex and difficult, the section to get, the act to get bail in. And we know that.
Okay.
So tentative is the operative word. And I'm
Shazia Elmi, the opposition is making also a larger charge. Arvind Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, Hemant Soren, Abhishek Banerjee. No agency, ED, IT, CBI is going after any of your party leaders. They're only interested in going after opposition leaders. Why? Only they are corrupt.
Exactly. That's all they can do. That's all they can do, because they don't know how to answer this. They can't answer that there has been a money trail which has been established, which is why Manish Sisodia has been denied bail not once, not twice, not thrice, but 6 times. Whether you look at, let me finish. No, we can't do it like
Abhinandita, one second. Let her finish.
Whether it's Sonia Gandhi or
I'm only correcting a fact.
Okay.
So whether it's Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, recently even
Let
Lalu
her
Prasad
finish.
Yadav or Sanjay Raut, all of them have got bail. Manish Sisodia has been denied bail 6 times. And this time, Now, very simple question, which my friend here would refuse to answer and would rather make all kinds of stories and answer as to why the commission fee or the distribution was raised from 5% to 12%, ensuring windfall gains to the wholesale liquor mafia and companies. No answers. No, they have no answers as to why the license fee was hiked from 5 lakhs to 5 crores. No answer. How does a figure of 338 come into the picture? When you take out the 12% commission fee by 5, what is the remaining figure? That is the windfall gains given. The policy was tweaked deliberately to enable the cartel to make more money, and the consumers were not passed on the profit. Where did the profit
Abhinandita,
go?
even the
So
court,
far they kept saying,
even the
"Where
court
is the money?
opined
Where is
that
the money?"
yesterday in the bail order that 85% of the market was controlled by 2 players, and the policy was changed to benefit those 2 players. The court has said this in its order yesterday.
And then the policy was revoked.
Yeah, let her respond. Abhinandita,
Okay, firstly, let's stand corrected, and for the record, and you said it yourself, Zaka, that this is what the court said is that this is a tentative trail that they suspect. Okay, tentative being the operative word. Number 2, the court also observed, and this is very critical to the matter, that any government has it within its purview to create policies, to formulate policies which from time to time may benefit the market in general. That is what a government is supposed to do. So the court itself did not find any problem in the fact that a government in its purview, with an elected government in its purview, decides to make certain changes in the policy.
Okay.
And policy like anything else. Many of the schemes of the government can always be withdrawn or be challenged, and this happened as well. So
Okay.
I don't see why this.
Last word. No, Shazia. One
elected,
point which opposition leaders consistently make is there were leaders of your party also who faced serious charges of corruption. Hemanta Biswa had, Yediyurappa had. There were other leaders also who faced serious corruption charges. How come they get whitewashed when they join the BJP?
Absolutely, that is
let her answer, Shazia. Yeah.
Because we have limited time. Because we have limited time, and this is the topic, I will choose to speak about the specifics of the charges and this big scam instead of us broad brushing it, because our lady here is trying to run away because she knows that the more she explains as to what Supreme Court is doing, she cannot explain as to why Manish Sisodia has been denied bail, why Arvind Kejriwal is being called, why was the policy made, why was the policy taken back. You have egg on your face and you cut a sorry figure because you were caught stealing. You were indulging in corruption. There are two matters of corruption. Prevention of Corruption Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and in both are very serious charges. It is ironical when I didn't hear of you, Arvind Kejriwal and I, when we used to do Lokpal consultations, would discuss this threadbare. So I think the senior people of Aam Aadmi Party know what a soup they're in. No matter how much you try to say it's which one.
All right, I'm afraid I'm completely out of time. Let's see, on Thursday when the Delhi Chief Minister appears before the Enforcement Directorate and the questions they put before him, we will hopefully get better answers as to what exactly happened in this Liquorgate scandal. Was the policy tweaked to aid just two private players? What happened to the monies, the losses that the Exchequer had to take as a consequence of that, and the monies in lieu of, if there were monies in lieu of, where did that go? Even this 338 crore which the court opined was tentatively established, where has that money gone? It's not a small amount. We'll see how this story plays out. Thank you for tuning into Brass Tacks. I'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night.
सत्ता संकट में थी तो सरकार ने कोई राहत नहीं दी। अब शिवराज चौहान की सत्ता संकट में है, भाजपा की सत्ता संकट में है, तो उन्हें लाडली बहनों की याद आ रही है, राहत याद आ रही है। इसका ये मतलब है कि शिवराज चौहान संकट में है, उनकी सरकार संकट में है, क्योंकि अगर राहत देना होता तो कोरोना में देते।
वी आर जॉइंड बाय बीजेपी एमपी स्पोक्सपर्सन मिस्टर मिलन भार्गव। मिलन जी, पूरे आप भोपाल में घूमे तो एक पोस्टर वॉर्ड टाइप का लगता है, कमलनाथ जी के पोस्टर लगे हैं, बोल रहे हैं 1500 रुपए वुमेन को देंगे, 500 रुपए में सिलेंडर देंगे। एक तरफ पे मोदी जी के पोस्टर लगे हैं कि 1250 दे रहे हैं, 3000 कर देंगे और 450 में सिलेंडर देंगे। तो जनता जो है किसकी बातों पे ज्यादा विश्वास करे? वादे भी एक जैसे ही लग रहे हैं आप दोनों के।
देखिए, दोनों में जो मूल अंतर है वो सबसे बड़ा अंतर है, एक सरकार में है और एक विपक्ष में है। जो विपक्ष जो 15 माह पहले 2018 में चुनकर आया था, मध्य प्रदेश की जनता बहुत बेहतर से जानती है। उन्होंने पहले भी वचन किए थे कि ये देंगे, युवाओं को बेरोजगारी 4000 भत्ता देंगे, लेकिन एक भी बेरोजगारी भत्ता नहीं मिला। युवाओं को ढोर चलाने और बैंड बजाने की ट्रेनिंग देने की कमलनाथ जी ने बात करी। किसानों को 2 लाख कर्ज माफ करने की कमलनाथ जी ने बात की थी, किसी भी एक किसान का कर्ज माफ नहीं हुआ। राहुल गांधी आए थे उस समय, इस समय उन्होंने प्रियंका गांधी जी को बुलाया और कहा कि नई घोषणाएं करिए, क्योंकि राहुल गांधी जी की घोषणा हम पूरी नहीं कर पाए। और मध्य प्रदेश की बीजेपी सरकार वो है जिसने सारी घोषणाओं को पूरा भी किया, और जो वचन हमने कहिए थे, जो घोषणाएं हमने की थी, हमारा शीर्ष नेतृत्व आया माननीय अमित शाह जी के द्वारा रिपोर्ट कार्ड जनता के बीच रखा है। ये हमारी दम है। हम पोस्टर में काम नहीं करते, हम धरातल पर काम करते हैं। वो पोस्टर में कर एक जरूर बहलाकर वोट हत्याना चाह रहा है, लेकिन मध्य प्रदेश की जनता बहुत बेहतर जानती है कि किसने काम किया, किसने नहीं किया।
In Bhopal, in poll-bound Madhya Pradesh, there is a virtual poster war on the streets of the state capital. Behind me, you can see the poster of Mr. Kamal Nath saying that Sashakt Beti Samrit Nari, the Congress big promise of rupees 1500 for women per month and a gas cylinder at rupees 500. But just in the front of it, you will see the posters of the BJP. BJP promising the ongoing Ladli Behna Yojana of the BJP at rupees 1250 per month for women in the state, and with Mr. Big picture of Mr. Modi, the BJP promising that this amount will be increased to rupees 3000 in due course if the BJP comes again to power. Go across Bhopal and you will find these two kind of posters all over the city, some of them juxtaposed against each other. Both the parties trying to woo the women in this freebies war, and also the BJP's promise of you'll find also the many of these posters of the BJP promising a gas cylinder at rupees 450, which is 50 rupees lesser than what Mr. Kamal Nath is promising. Another key difference though between these two posters is that on the posters of the Congress, which the BJP is promising, which the BJP is highlighting in fact, that there is only the picture of Mr. Kamal Nath. The BJP says the Congress has no other leader except Kamal Nath. It is facing a paucity of leaders. While if you see the BJP's poster, you will see all their major leaders' faces on the poster. There is Mr. Modi, there is Mr. JP Nadda, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Mr. Narendra Singh Tomar, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Mr. VD Sharma, Kailash Vijayvargiya. So in a way, BJP is saying it has a galaxy of leaders in Madhya Pradesh, also throwing open the chief ministerial question that who becomes the chief minister if the BJP wins. But on the Congress poster, there is only one face and there seems to be no confusion on who will be the chief minister if the Congress wins.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Day 25 of the war, and Israel has gone missing from the map. All